All right, everybody. Adam here. So, today's question comes from a friend on Twitter, and what she wants to know is why why are my squat and my deadlift going up while my shoulder press and bench press are plateauing? And this is obviously a question mainly for people who are training for strength, but it applies to pretty much everyone as well, and it also applies, additionally, more to women than to men. But again, it still applies to everybody as well. So there's a few reasons. There's a lot of factors that can be going on. Um, First of all, you have to understand that naturally your bench press and your shoulder press are going to develop a lot slower than your squat and your deadlift, simply because there's a lot less muscle involved. Basically, you after you've maxed out skill training, one of the which can happen after 6 months or so. One of the big things that you need to do to keep driving continued strength improvement is to keep optimizing your body composition, or essentially to gain muscle. And if you are gaining muscle, you're going to gain muscle more quickly in areas that are easy to build muscle, like for example your legs, your glutes, your low back. That's places you can really easily build a lot of muscle. Your body very naturally builds muscle. The chest, builds a lot of muscle as well. The shoulders, not so much. The shoulders are, you can build some muscle, but they're certainly a lot smaller. Let's be honest. And so what happens is that naturally over time, that's just going to slow down. And there's some people for whom it just kind of stops altogether. I definitely had my bench stalled for a very long time. For 2 years basically, at one point, just because I couldn't I couldn't do anything. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't. I wasn't really in a position where I was building muscle. I wasn't really following a plan that was building muscle, and I'd already sort of maxed out all of the skill training benefits of strength training alone. So nothing was happening. It was the same thing with my shoulder press as well. Also partly because I wasn't training it very much. So yeah, that's something that happens to everybody. That's going to slow down more for bench press and shoulder press over time than for squat and deadlift, and that can be a bit discouraging to people. But basically you just got to stick with it. Them's the breaks. That's all there is to it. The other factor that comes into play here is women do develop upper body strength a little bit more slowly than men. Interestingly enough, so women are basically, when you account for size and all, basically women pound for pound of muscle are equally as strong as men. The problem is that women tend to be smaller. They have smaller frames. They have smaller you just don't build as much muscle when you have a smaller frame. They do carry more body fat on average, because that's the way your bodies are built. And that comes with good things as well. Like, women's bodies are metabolically way more efficient than men's bodies, and that's why they live longer. But at the same time, there's certainly some trade-offs to that. And one of those is that women don't have the same amount of, proportionally quite as much muscle strength in the upper body as do men. Now, at the same time, women actually they're actually slightly better than men, proportionally in the lower body. So women actually will gain muscle and strength a little bit better in the lower body than they will in the upper body, and that's just basically that's gathered from correlational data. Basically comparing powerlifters across all weight classes, male and female, and seeing where the trends are. So. So yeah, that's a factor that comes into play with women as well. And I'm not going to say that it's certainly one of those two factors. It could also just be a third option. It could just be that your body isn't set up properly, or you don't have a good physiology to do certain lifts. Everyone's body is different. Like, there's some people that just have hips that just can't squat. Period. Like, you just, physically, your bones cannot move in such a way that you can get deep enough into a squat. These things happen, actually. And so, you know, not to say that it's the exact same with the upper body, you know, there's again, there's so much variation in people, and you know, it's important to understand that for all that, you know, scientists know, for all that coaches know, there's plenty of factors that, you know, we may not know about. There's plenty of things that, you know, could be going on that, you know, our science doesn't necessarily explain yet. And so, yeah, there could certainly be something else going on up there. You could just be physiologically bad at a certain lift. For example, I myself, I'm an excellent deadlifter, but I'm not good at squatting, you know, and the way that has played out in the past has been, you know, in the form of knee issues, in the form of a quad injury. And, you know, I've had to very much scale back my training for the squat just to be able to, you know, just to be able to not hurt myself. Whereas, like, I can just deadlift, and, you know, many people certainly cannot deadlift as frequently or as, you know, with as much intensity as I do, and certainly, you know, a lot of people seem afraid of it, and you know, that's never applied to me. I've always been able to do all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff in terms of the amount that I load and punish my back on, you know, doing deadlifting. So yeah, you know, it could also just be that, you know, there's something going on, you know, some kind of joint issue, some little tiny thing rubbing somewhere where it's not supposed to, that it could all be affecting that sort of thing. So, and then, you know, and the fourth one is, you know, maybe, you know, not to shit talk you or your program ever, anybody, you know, I'm not judging people, but, you know, sometimes people just aren't trying hard enough, or they don't have a good enough program, or they're just, and that's not a bad thing, you know, like, you've got a whole other life out there, you've got all kinds of other crap to do, you know, you don't need to be some person who obsessively pores over the internet trying to find the perfect program, you know, and the perfect training style to get your results. But I will say, you know, maybe try something new, maybe try a different workout program, you know, switch it up a little bit, see what happens. Sometimes what happens is that people stick with the same workout program for way too long, and then they don't see results. I had this guy who was like, I've been doing starting strength for like 3 fucking years, and I'm not seeing results anymore. And I'm like, okay, let's see what's up with that. And I put him on like a different program, and boom, all of a sudden his numbers are shooting up, and he's like, I don't know what's happening. I was like, you needed to stop doing starting strength. So that is it for today. As always, like, comment, share, tell me what you want to see in future videos, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.